You're barren. You're a failure. That's the last thing he screamed before kicking me out in the middle of the night and stealing the multi-million-dollar company I built from scratch. 3 years later, the audacity. He threw this huge, lavish wedding with his pregnant fiancée and made a point of inviting me, just to send a message. Come see what real happiness looks like. No kids to spoil the fun. But he never saw me coming. I rolled up in a Rolls-Royce, walking in with everything. 2 beautiful twin daughters, living proof of his lie, and the title of a billion-dollar CEO. The moment that ugly truth hit him, James had to pay for his reputation and his whole career. The twist? Was that baby even his? And who was really barren? You're about to witness the most satisfying revenge ever. A broken heart building an empire. If you've ever been underestimated and desperately want to prove your worth, hit subscribe right now. This isn't just a story, it's therapy for your self-esteem. Comment, I'm worth it, to declare your value isn't defined by anyone else. Let's talk about James Hartley. Mid-30s, San Francisco, the name you constantly saw on LinkedIn. He was the poster child of Silicon Valley success. Sharp Armani suits, flexing in his shiny Tesla, always posting these cocky updates about being the architect of billion-dollar dreams. When he walked down Market Street, he carried himself like he owned the place, like the whole city was just a chessboard waiting for him to play. Everyone knew James was arrogant, loud, demanding respect from literally everyone. And that arrogance hit me hardest. He always threw shade. You're just the coder. I'm the architect of this dream. That complete disrespect for the technical side blinded him to my true worth. My name? It was wiped from the company system overnight, like I never existed. I realized then he didn't just take the house. He took my identity. But even in our fancy penthouse overlooking the bay, with that glittering Rolex on his wrist, James wasn't satisfied. He was furious for one basic reason. His wife, Maya Thompson, wasn't fashionable enough to elevate his status among the elite. I was Maya, a talented AI programmer, MIT grad, quiet, smart. I married James for love, not money or status. I was the one who actually built our company, AI Optima, from the ground up. I helped his investment fund rake in millions of dollars last year alone. Yet, at a rooftop party with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background, he introduced me to his investors with this nasty little line. This is my wife. She's great at staying home. His smug grin swallowed the sound of the clinking wine glasses. I just didn't belong in his flashy, pretentious world. I stayed 7 years. But those 7 years felt like a slow, painful grind. James constantly compared me to other women online, the ones who knew how to slay at parties and build their personal brands. One evening, that low-key marital storm finally hit. Our quiet apartment felt heavy, thick with the San Francisco fog creeping through the windows. I sat on the edge of our king-sized bed, my hands locked tight. I could only hear the soft beep of my laptop on the desk. James stormed in, fuming. His tie was loose. 7 years, Maya, he yelled, throwing his car keys onto the walnut dresser. The metal clanged. 7 years and you still can't make me shine. You don't go to parties. You don't flex on LinkedIn. You do nothing to make people talk about me as a successful man. I looked up slowly, my voice shaking. James, I tried. I built AI Optima. I made your fund money. I don't like parties, but I'm here for you. Maybe we can figure this out together? Figure what out? Image? He scoffed. His laugh was dry, mixing with the street noise below. Is that really what you think is enough? I'm sick of you just sitting home coding. My mother calls every day asking why you aren't on Instagram like other wives. My friends laugh behind my back. Do you know what it feels like to be mocked, like I'm not playing in the big leagues? He was losing it. My eyes were already tearing up. Rain started tapping against the window. Don't say that. I'm your wife. We swore before God, for richer, for poorer. Why are you putting all this on me like I'm nothing? His voice grew louder, cutting through the smooth jazz from the Bluetooth speaker. Because you are nothing to me anymore. What's a wife who can't help me keep my status? You live in the house I bought, wear clothes I paid for, drive the car I leased, and you bring zero clout. Maya, you're a failure in my life. My lips trembled as I tried to speak. Don't call me a failure. I worked hard. I built the company. I helped you succeed. I don't enjoy being compared, James. Don't you think I hurt too? James turned his back, pacing like a caged animal. His anger spiked with every word I spoke. I'm done with your excuses. I'm done waiting. I'm not letting you drag me down anymore. I'm calling the lawyer tomorrow. This marriage is over. He stopped, the venom in his voice chilling me. And let me be clear. You can't have kids. That's just the final excuse. The real problem is, you never belonged in my world. My breath caught. It felt like a punch to the gut. My heart hammered in my ears. Divorce. You're divorcing me after all this? After I stuck by you when you had nothing? After I gave up my family for you? James, did you forget the love we had? He spun around. His eyes were ice cold under the soft LED lights. Love doesn't build a brand. My mom was right. I should have dumped you ages ago. I need a wife who shines, not someone hiding in a corner with a laptop. Get out, Maya. Tomorrow, I want you gone. I crumbled. I fell to my knees, grabbing his trouser leg. The fine wool slipped through my fingers. Please, James, don't do this. Just give me more time. Give us more time. I can learn to show up more, do what you want. He yanked his leg away like touching me was disgusting. The sound of the fabric ripping was so sharp. It's not about image. You are the problem, and I'm exhausted. Go. That's final. Our shouting bounced off the soundproof walls. Staff downstairs were whispering, but no one dared intervene. My crying filled the space as I tried one last time. James, look at me. Look at the woman who cooked for you, who prayed for you when you were sick. I gave you everything I had. Don't throw me out like trash. His heart was concrete. He grabbed his phone, called his lawyer right in front of me. The short ring chilled me. Yes, Attorney Harris. Get the papers ready. I want the divorce finalized, effective immediately. Yes, she'll be gone by morning. My world stopped. He planned this? I looked at him in total disbelief. The heavy scent of his cologne suffocated me. You called your lawyer already? You planned this? James, how could you? He looked down at me, his voice sharp as a knife. Maya, you're a failure. I'm setting myself free. If you have any self-respect, pack tonight. I don't want to see you here tomorrow, and I don't want you anywhere near my world. I stood up slowly. My body was numb. My heart was shattered. I walked to the closet and started folding clothes into a small bag. The zipper screamed. My hands shook so hard I could barely pull the zipper. Every dress I folded felt like a broken memory. Lies. He just stood there, arms crossed, stone-faced. He didn't move. Not once did his heart soften. Not even for a second. I grabbed my little bag. Tears streamed down, hitting the hardwood floor. I looked back one last time, my voice cracking. You'll regret this, James. One day, you'll see the truth. One day, you'll understand what you've done. But James didn't answer. He just looked away, acting like I was already invisible. With slow, dragging steps, I walked out of the bedroom. My slippers scuffed the marble floor. The apartment that used to be home felt like a prison. I walked past the hall, where the abstract paintings hung crooked. I avoided the emotionless blinking of the Alexa virtual assistant. When the huge front door opened, the cold San Francisco night air hit my face, carrying the salty bay smell. I paused, glancing back one last time at the penthouse I called home for 7 years. I took one deep breath. I gripped the small bag tighter. I whispered my vow, fueled by pure rage and pain. You will not break me, James. This American dream is mine. I'm taking everything back. Stepping into the Mission District, I walked into a different world. Neon lights, sirens, chaos. But I didn't know the dirty secret. James had already secretly transferred all my AI Optima shares to his mother's name. His lawyer even threatened to sue if I used any of the old source code or designs. How does a woman who's completely blacklisted, completely broke, build a new empire? The answer was waiting in New York. And believe me, it's gonna shock everyone. My hands were shaking as I typed SFO into Uber. A red-eye flight would take me to New York, where Lisa Brown, my best friend from MIT, was waiting. I stepped into the unknown, clutching that small bag like it was my last life raft. The neon streetlights were bright but couldn't cut through the darkness that swallowed me on that Mission District street. My legs were weak. My eyes were red and blurry. James's chilling voice echoed in my mind. You're a failure. I'm setting myself free. I stumbled past closed coffee shops, lonely bicycles, and homeless people curled up in sleeping bags. No one gave me a second glance. No one knew the woman walking by had just lost her home, her husband, and her peace. Under the cold streetlight, I opened LinkedIn. I posted a hidden status. It was a promise to myself. Sometimes, Losing everything is the only way to find yourself. The only friend I could think of was Lisa Brown. She lived in a small loft in Brooklyn, tucked away near all the hipster cafes. Our friendship started at MIT, and though life had pulled us apart, her door was never closed to me. Landing at JFK at 5 a.m., New York was still asleep. I dragged my small bag through the empty terminal. My phone kept buzzing. Texts from old colleagues, the last sounds of a world I was pushed out of. I tapped lightly on Lisa's door. She opened it, surprised to see me standing there, ragged and broken in the pale morning light. Stepping into that warm loft, I didn't know New York held secrets that would completely shatter my past with James. Could I handle it? What do you think the secret was? Was it about James? About his new fiancée? Or something hidden deep in the old AI Optima files? Maya, what the hell happened? Lisa asked, her voice laced with panic. Why are you crying? Did someone die? I couldn't even speak. All that built-up pain finally exploded. I just broke down, sobbing, collapsing right into her arms. Get inside now, Lisa said, pulling me into the loft. It was warm, soft yellow light and that faint smell of stale coffee. She led me to the couch, locking the door behind us with a sharp click. It sealed us off from the outside world. Talk to me. What went down? She asked, gentle but firm. He kicked me out, I choked out. James? I nodded slowly, wiping the tears with the back of my hand. The stale coffee smell somehow amplified the emptiness I felt. He called me a failure, said I wasn't good enough to stand next to him, said the fertility thing was just the final excuse. Lisa clicked her tongue. She sat next to me. That bastard has zero fear of God. After all these years, he didn't even see you as a partner. You've been through enough, Maya. I buried my face in her shoulder. I don't know where to start. I came here with just this one little bag. All my stuff is still in that penthouse. Lisa rubbed my arm softly. Don't sweat it. Stay here. I'm not rich, but this is your home now. You can crash here tonight. Stay as long as you need. This is your place. I closed my eyes, taking a long, shaky breath. The ceiling fan hummed softly. Thank you, Lisa. The room went quiet. Then Lisa stood up. Come on, I'm putting the kettle on. Get a hot shower and eat something. She grabbed some bread. I could smell the faint scent of laundry detergent from her sleep shirt. We'll talk more tomorrow. I sat there while Lisa walked away, staring blankly at the old hardwood floor. My heart felt like a million tiny shards. But through the tears, I swore to myself, I will stand up, Maya. You're MIT. You built AI Optima. I'm taking back the American dream. I couldn't sleep that night. The bed was soft, the room was quiet, but my mind kept replaying James kicking me out. The way he turned his back, the way he looked at me like a stranger. The next few days were a blur. I woke up the next morning, my pillow soaked. Lisa's tiny living room was my sanctuary, but also a cage for my grief. The musty smell of old brick mixed with that stale coffee became the familiar scent of my lost days. I was hiding out, trying to mask the devastation. But my body didn't lie. I barely touched food. I survived on instant noodles Lisa bought, the salty seasoning dissolving with my tears, burning my throat. Every night, the laptop screen was the only light cutting through the darkness, but all I could see were broken, dead lines of code. The hands that once wrote multi-million-dollar algorithms now shook too hard to type a single basic function. My voice faded. I mostly sat by the window, my eyes lifeless, watching Brooklyn's busy rhythm. Freelancers rushing into the cafe downstairs, the whir of electric bikes, the sound of a life moving forward. I felt completely stuck. Lisa never stopped trying to pull me out of that shell of despair. One morning, she decided, Maya, let's hit the park. Let's get some fresh air. Look at life outside. Maybe you'll find inspiration for your company? Prospect Park was pure healing. The cool breeze ran through my hair. Sunbeams sparkled through the leaves, hitting my face. And then, the smallest miracle. A tiny smile touched my lips. The first time in weeks. It was small, but Lisa saw it. Her face lit up with hope. In that distant look, a thought flashed in my mind. Can I really start over? Is the tech company dream the key? Lisa squeezed my hand, her voice thick with emotion. There she is. That's the Maya Thompson I know. That moment was the seed of my rebirth. The pain was finally making room for the sheer power inside me. I knew then, my journey to take back the American dream had only just begun. The ghost of the past didn't disappear easily, though. When Lisa urged me to go out, I shook my head. I don't want anyone to see me like this. If someone asks about James, what do I say? Just tell them the truth, Lisa shot back. That he's an idiot who dumped a diamond because he wanted cheap glitter. I managed a small laugh, but it died quickly. Lisa set her coffee cup down. The gentle clink echoed. Listen to me, Maya. You don't need to hide. You're MIT. You founded AI Optima. He doesn't get to define who you are. And then that weekend, Lisa hit me with the crucial question, the one that changed everything. Maya, she asked, soft but serious, have you ever had a proper fertility workup done? I just stared at her. My face was blank. A workup for what? Fertility testing, Lisa clarified. Are you absolutely sure the issue is with you? I shook my head slowly. The sofa creaked under the weight of my thoughts. James always told me I was the problem. He never bothered to get himself checked. He said he was perfect. Lisa frowned. The coffee grinder whirred in the kitchen, a soundtrack to her frustration. So you just blindly believed him? You don't have to accept his word as gospel, Maya. He wouldn't listen, and his mom. She called me a failure because I didn't help James fit in with the elite. They put all the blame on me. Lisa shot up. Her slippers slapped the wooden floor. No, this ends now. Tomorrow we are going to the clinic. They will run all the tests. You need to hear the truth from a doctor, not from that arrogant husband of yours. She opened her phone, scrolling through her contacts, pausing at a name from her tech network. I know a great place in Manhattan. Let's go, Maya. I didn't argue. I was too tired of guessing. Maybe, just maybe, I needed the real answer. The next day, we walked into the NYU Langone Fertility Center. So fancy, so quiet. Inside Dr. Patel's office, Lisa took charge. She's been married for 7 years. No kids. Her husband divorced her, calling her inadequate and using the infertility as the final excuse. But she's never been fully tested. We need a comprehensive panel. Then came the long, tense hours of waiting and testing. The ultrasound machine hummed. My heart pounded. What if I really wasn't good enough, like James said? What if I wasn't worthy of his world? I clenched Lisa's hand, my nails digging into her palm. I tried not to look at the ticking clock. 2 days later, the results were ready. I sat before the doctor, hands sweaty, smelling the fresh ink of the report. Dr. Patel adjusted his glasses. He smiled. Miss Thompson, everything looks great. Your reproductive system is healthy. You ovulate well. Hormones are normal. You have absolutely no issues. I blinked. The AC unit whirred. No issues? The doctor repeated. None whatsoever. If you haven't conceived in 7 years, I highly recommend your ex-husband get himself checked. From what I see, you are perfectly fine. I covered my mouth as tears flooded my eyes. The sound was trapped in my throat. I don't know what to say. Lisa jumped out of her chair. It scraped the floor. I knew it. That lowlife lied to you, Maya. He put the blame on you just to cover up his own insecurities about status. She hugged me tight, whispering, You are not a failure. You never were. My head was spinning. The fluorescent lights seemed to flash like stars. So all this time, I wasn't the problem. Dr. Patel gave me a kind smile. The wall clock ticked steadily. You were never the problem. And when you find the right man, I believe you will have the family you want. Don't let what happens steal your peace. He wrote a number on a notepad. Here's a therapist at NYU, specializing in divorce recovery. You should try therapy, Maya. It will help you reclaim yourself. We thanked the doctor and left. Outside, I sat on a small park bench nearby. My body was trembling from the truth. The Manhattan wind carried the scent of hot dogs from a street cart. For years, I whispered, I hated myself for not being good enough. I thought I disappointed James, and I was never the one at fault. Lisa sat beside me, clutching my hand, while the leaves rustled under the feet of passers-by. James is going to pay for everything he did to you, she vowed. I swear one day he'll look at you and wish he never underestimated you. I looked up at the gray New York sky. A strange sense of relief washed over me. Maybe this is the beginning of my healing. I took a deep breath. It felt like a boulder had been lifted off my chest. The following weeks marked a total shift. I started weekly therapy sessions at NYU, where I learned to forgive myself and rebuild my shattered confidence. In one session, I shared, Doctor, I realize a person's worth isn't what they can biologically bear, but what they can build. The true American dream isn't about the money. It's about living authentically. For the first time in forever, I felt truly heard. My life reboot started small. I began helping Lisa with a freelance coding project. The familiar click-clack of the keyboard filled the loft, signaling the return of the tech prodigy. But that newfound security almost crumbled during our first client meeting at a cafe. James unexpectedly walked by. My heart froze. My name was visible on my laptop screen. One glance from him, and everything could go up in smoke. His footsteps approached, and then faded away. I let out a shaky breath. If he had turned around, my whole new world would have collapsed again. But this time, I had a contingency plan. Though I couldn't smile brightly yet, I wasn't the lost soul I once was. I started waking up early, eating healthy salads from the local spot, and even laughed softly sometimes. One evening, I turned to Lisa. I want to restart. I want to focus on AI Optima. I love coding, and I'm desperate to build something huge. Lisa beamed. The gentle clink of her coffee mug was like a cheer. That's the American spirit. I've got your back. Let's make it happen. They turned Lisa's tiny workspace into a startup HQ. I opened my work messenger, built a remote team stretching from Seattle to Texas, and got to coding a data optimization tool. The initial results were crazy. My AI tool boosted small businesses' revenue by 20% in the first month alone. But success isn't a straight road. Just 2 weeks post-launch, a massive security flaw hit our system. Data for dozens of our first clients was at risk. I pulled an all-nighter for 72 hours straight. My eyes were burning. I could barely breathe while fixing line after line of code. Lisa literally had to spoon-feed me. It was in the dead of that night, the keyboard click-clack the only sound in the loft, that I found the fix. A breakthrough algorithm. It didn't just patch the bug. It boosted our processing speed by 40%. The failure almost crushed me, but it turned into the launchpad for a huge leap. After that crisis, everything blew up. Every morning, I was coding, running progress checks with my team over video calls. By 8 a.m., small businesses were lining up virtually, waiting to use my tool. The success was so big that a major investor from Sand Hill Road DM'd me on LinkedIn. AI Optima is huge. Can we meet at TechCrunch Disrupt NY next week? People finally started seeing me again, not as James's divorced ex-wife, but as the programmer who built the best AI tool in the region. But success always comes with a target on your back. As AI Optima grew, James tried to hit back. He tasked his analyst team with tearing down my reputation. The wild thing is, one young analyst secretly sent me the system logs. The message: "You don't know me, but he doesn't deserve you." Using my own coding skills, I turned that attack into an opportunity, proving to the world that resilience is your strongest weapon. But I still had no idea that Victoria was a ticking time bomb about to blow up the entire chessboard. One afternoon, a remote client happily noted on a video call, "Miss Thompson, you look completely different. You're glowing." I managed a slight smile. The mouse clicked on the desk. Maybe. It's just because I'm finally free. But even in those rare happy moments, the ghost of the past would creep back. Late one night, debugging a code error, I turned to Lisa, my voice heavy. "Do you think he ever loved me?" Lisa looked at me for a long time. The wind whistled through the open window frame. "I think he only loved himself more than anything. That's the one thing I'm sure of." I nodded, regret sharp in my voice. "I just wish I hadn't wasted so many years." "You didn't waste them," Lisa insisted, her voice firm. "You grew stronger. You got tougher. And one day, the American dream is going to pay you back double for everything you lost." She patted my shoulder, her eyes full of belief. "You're going to show the world, girl." I didn't answer, but deep inside a complete shift was happening. A tiny fire had been lit. A silent power was rising. One Sunday afternoon, Lisa came back from a work meetup with shocking news. "Maya, guess what?" she asked, her voice a mix of excitement and worry. I looked up from my laptop screen. The rich smell of coffee from the brewer filled the air. "What is it?" "I ran into an old friend of James's," Lisa started. "He's getting married to this LA influencer, Victoria Chen. She's been showing off a 3-month bump on Instagram with the caption, 'Finally a real family.'" Lisa lowered her voice, dropping the bombshell. "But James has no clue that Victoria used to be a fan of yours in the tech world. She even commented, 'You're my idol,' under your old TED Talk. Victoria doesn't just admire you, she believes in genuine talent. After finding out James was a total dirtbag to his partners, she decided to approach him to get to the truth." and he's planning to live stream the whole wedding on TikTok to show off. My heart froze. The click-clack of my keyboard went silent. Oh, I let out a soft breath. The afternoon sun streamed through the blinds, highlighting my strange calm. He even invited some of your old friends to the wedding, Lisa added. He clearly wants everyone to see what his real wife looks like. I glanced out the window, where the noise of the Brooklyn street faded. He never changes. Lisa came closer. He probably sent you an invite just to humiliate you one last time. She touched my hand gently, then whispered the deepest secret. But get this. Victoria doesn't love James at all. I heard she's only in it for the cash. She got pregnant by another guy before even meeting James. She knows the baby isn't his, no DNA test needed. She even tampered with his funds tech contracts to cash out, and she's planning to bounce right after the wedding. I stayed silent. My fingers tapped the keyboard slowly, like I was controlling a complicated emotion inside. Then I whispered, completely calm, "Screw him. I know who I am now." But in my mind, I saw the opulent Plaza Hotel, where James would try to embarrass me one more time. A small smile touched my lips. This time, it wasn't a smile of pain. "He's going to regret this, Lisa," I said, my voice soft but filled with rock-solid determination. "I swear it." That night, lying in bed, I placed one hand on my stomach. I stared at the loft ceiling for a long time, remembering the doctor's words, "You are perfectly fine." I opened LinkedIn. There was James's wedding DM, the caption dripping with sarcasm. "Come see what success looks like, Maya." I didn't reply. I just saved the invite, my finger tracing the screen. I put my other hand over my heart, listening to the steady beat. "God," I whispered, "if you saw my tears, please let the world see I was never the failure." I closed my eyes, not with pain, but with a small, serene smile. A plan was forming, not for revenge, but to show the world who the real Maya Thompson was. I stood at my desk in the co-working space that morning, wiping the edges with a napkin. The printer hummed. Outside, Brooklyn was already hustling. Office workers rushed by. E-bikes zipped past. Freelancers yelled orders at the nearby coffee shop. I checked my team chat. New version boosted Texas client revenue by 30%. I wore a simple hoodie and scarf, sipping coffee. A line of virtual clients waited for the AI tool demo. I managed a weak smile for each message, typing commands and sending the test link via the cloud. But deep down, the quiet war continued. Part of me was moving on. The other part still held the ache, still heard James's voice, still remembered being called a failure, inadequate, and thrown out like trash. "Hey, I need 2 versions of the tool." A sudden voice cut through my thoughts on the video call. I turned the screen. The man was tall, with kind eyes and a calm expression. He wore a neat white shirt tucked into chinos, carrying a small black laptop backpack. He smiled slightly, pointing at the code. "Your AI tool sounds too good to pass up," he said. I forced a small smile. "Thanks. Basic or advanced version?" "Advanced," he replied. "Very advanced. I like tools that challenge my brain." That actually made me chuckle. The video call speaker emitted a soft beep. I ran the program and sent the link. "How much?" he asked. "First trial is free," I said. He clicked accept, grabbed a virtual coffee mug, and looked at me for a beat. "You're very silent," he noted. I shrugged. "I just like to focus on coding." "That's cool," he smiled. His friendly expression eased the initial awkwardness. "I'm Daniel. By the way, I run an AI company around here too." I politely nodded. "Thank you." When the call ended, I mentally filed him away, just a normal business exchange. But Daniel came back the next day, then the day after, and the day after that. Sometimes he tested 2 versions, sometimes just 1. Every time, he'd share a quick story about a funny coding error or a cool AI idea. He never tried to drag the chat out, and he wasn't overly nosy. But I realized one simple thing. Daniel always knew how to make me smile. Then one afternoon, he stayed a little longer. The co-working space was quiet. The virtual chats had faded. "Miss Thompson," he began, reading my name from my LinkedIn profile. "Do you ever take a break? I've seen you coding since this morning." I unconsciously wiped my hands on my jeans. "I'll rest when I get home." Daniel frowned, genuinely concerned. "You shouldn't work alone like that. Do you have any support?" "No," I replied, my voice gentle but resigned. "But I'm used to it." A short silence passed, only the fan whirring. Then Daniel spoke, more cautiously. "I apologize if this is too personal, but were you ever married?" My heart skipped a beat. I turned my face away, avoiding his eyes. I whispered, the sound almost swallowed by the fan. Daniel nodded slowly, his look understanding. I'm sorry. But then a warm smile spread across his face. If you ever want real coffee instead of video calls, I'll be at TechCrunch Disrupt NY next week. Just DM me on LinkedIn. I nodded, not promising anything. I didn't mean to bring up painful memories, I sighed. The wind through the open loft window brought the smell of fresh-baked bread from the neighbors. That's not on you. Daniel stood still for a moment, then cleared his throat, the dry sound mixed with the rumble of a truck outside. It's just that, you look like a genuinely good person, and incredibly strong. I admire that. He smiled, waved goodbye, and walked off. His footsteps faded down the sidewalk. I watched Daniel until he disappeared around the Brooklyn corner, under the flashing neon sign of the bar across the street. My phone buzzed. A direct message from Daniel on LinkedIn. Hope to catch you at TechCrunch Disrupt. No pressure, just coffee. A small smile touched Maya's lips. She scrolled her finger across the screen, still didn't reply, but she didn't delete the invite either. That evening, Lisa noticed something was different. Who's the guy who keeps checking your tool? She asked, a mischievous glint in her eye. The coffee machine whirred from the kitchen. Just a client, I muttered. Are you sure? Lisa grinned. Because the way he looks at you. I rolled my eyes, soft jazz playing on the Bluetooth speaker. Don't start, but deep down I knew Lisa was right. Daniel always found a way to linger, even for a few minutes. Every story he told about a bug or an AI idea made me feel seen. In the following weeks, Daniel didn't just check the tool. He brought gifts, new coding documentation, ideas for features, sometimes just a filtered water cup. He said it was to support the startup. Once, he sent a file with a note. This could cut your processing time by 10%. Try it. I did. It worked. Client revenue jumped another 5% that week. And slowly, I started talking more. I told him about my AI journey, how I learned to code at MIT, and my dream of building a company that would change how businesses process data. One afternoon, Daniel sat on a stool next to my desk. Maya, he said. Sorry if this is too much, but I see something special in you. I looked down, unsure how to reply. My mouse clicked as I saved a file. I was married, Daniel continued. Years ago, my wife died in a car crash. I haven't tried to love anyone since. Until now. My eyes widened. The fan whirred. You remind me what peace looks like, he continued. Not the loud, flashy kind, but the quiet kind that settles in your chest and makes you feel like you're home. I don't want to pressure you. I just wanted you to know. I didn't reply for a long time. I looked at my hands, then the code, then him. The desk lamp cast shadows on the keyboard. I'm scared, I whispered, my heart pounding faster. I know, Daniel said softly, his hand lightly touching mine. But I'm not James. I won't break your heart. I looked into his eyes, seeing a genuine warmth that didn't need to brag, unlike James's hollow promises. I nodded slightly. My heart slowed, as if I'd finally found a new rhythm. It took a few months, but I finally agreed to coffee. Not at a busy spot, but in a small corner at TechCrunch Disrupt NY, where we sat amidst the roar of startup pitches and the smell of burnt Starbucks. Then dinner at a Brooklyn pizza joint, where Daniel's warm laugh made me forget the nights I cried alone. Then long Sunday night walks along the Hudson River. I told him about fixing bugs until 2 a.m. He told me about the time he almost bankrupted his startup due to a ridiculous error. We laughed, shoulders brushing, the Manhattan skyline twinkling across the water. One afternoon in Central Park, under an old oak tree, Daniel got serious. Tell me something you never told James. My fake assurances dissolved. I told him about my fear of abandonment, about feeling defective and never good enough. Daniel listened, silent, his gaze non-judgmental. When I finished, his voice was deep and warm. I don't love you because you're the CEO of AI Optima, or because you can have beautiful children. I love the cracks in you, because they prove how you survived. To me, you are always enough, even if you never write another line of code. For the first time in years, I cried hot, cleansing tears, not from pain but from finally feeling fully seen and accepted. Another time, sitting on a blanket in that same spot, I looked at him, my voice small. Why me? You could choose anyone. Daniel laughed, a warm sound that erased all my doubt. Because you are the most real person I've ever met. You carry pain, but your heart is still wide open for laughter. You were broken, but you never let yourself stay in the rubble. That's the kind of woman I want by my side. My eyes welled up, the sound of leaves rustling underfoot. I squeezed his hand and whispered the most honest words. Then, I want to try. We married 6 months later. A simple ceremony at the New York City Hall. No huge cake, no DJ, just close friends and family. Lisa was the loudest, dancing like she won the lottery. I told you, she shouted. I told you good things were coming. Our new life was pure peace. Daniel was gentle. He made me laugh. He listened. He helped me scale AI Optima into a real company, debugging code with me late into the night. We were the new power couple, balancing life and work. We pushed AI Optima to a 9-figure valuation after a major Sand Hill Road round. For the first time in years, I felt safe. Then the unbelievable happened. One morning, I woke up feeling off, so tired. Coffee made me sick. I dismissed it. Stress, probably. But after 2 weeks, Daniel said, go get checked. We went back to the NYU Langone Fertility Center, back to Dr. Patel. I sat chewing my nail, the sound of magazines rustling. The doctor returned, a wide smile on his face. Congratulations, Miss Thompson, he said. You're pregnant? I froze. Pregnant? Yes, the doctor nodded. 3 weeks. I covered my mouth, tears streaming down. Daniel jumped out of his seat. Pregnant? Seriously? The doctor chuckled. It's real. He pulled me up and hugged me tight, our heartbeats thumping together. You're going to be a mom, he whispered. We're going to be parents. I cried, happy tears streaming down. I held his shirt and whispered into his shoulder. I'm not a failure, Daniel. I never was a failure. The months that followed were full of excitement, but the biggest shock came during the ultrasound. As the doctor moved the wand, his eyes widened. Miss Thompson, I hear 2 heartbeats. I sat up. 2? That's right, the doctor confirmed. Twins. I whooped. The whole clinic probably heard me. When we got home, Daniel knelt down and cried. God, you over-delivered, he whispered. 2 babies at once. This is more than I ever asked for. Everything was meticulously prepared for the new arrivals. Daniel was immersed in designing the nursery, sketching every pastel detail on his iPad. He even installed a tablet running the AI Optima app to track the baby's sleep. Lisa was always there to help, and gifts piled up from neighbors. And then, one peaceful Saturday morning, the miracle happened. I gave birth to 2 healthy twin girls. Emily and Sophia were born with my exact curly hair and bright, curious eyes. The nurses applauded. The doctor beamed. Daniel couldn't stop grinning. They look exactly like you, he whispered, holding one. But you keep this one. She's got my smile. I held both of them, tears of pure happiness sliding down my cheeks. I am not a failure, I whispered to my daughters, a declaration to myself. This American dream proved them all wrong. The first time I held both girls, I looked out the window at the glittering New York skyline, the happy tears blurring the view. I mumbled, 3 years ago, he called me a failure. Who is the failure now? But my full joy was about to be tested by an invitation from the past. The news spread like wildfire. On LinkedIn and TikTok, Maya Glow Up went viral, with friends sharing photos of me with the twins and inspiring captions, from rock bottom to AI queen. The media frenzy didn't stop. Acquaintances from the old neighborhood tracked me down to witness the miracle. Even James's friends heard. She had twins, they whispered. The woman James dumped? Yeah, and she scaled her company to a 9-figure valuation. Her husband is wealthy and decent. AI Optima just made Forbes with the headline, The AI Queen Redefining Success. And Maya's teaser for her upcoming TED Talk on overcoming tech pressure hit 1 million views on YouTube. Some were happy, some were bitter. But I stopped caring about the past. My present was warm cuddles, gentle kisses for Daniel, and the sweet coos of my daughters. I hired a nanny to balance motherhood and my CEO role, continuing to work from the Brooklyn loft. I was no longer the broken woman crying on the street. I was a mother. I was whole. I was free. I posted a powerful status on LinkedIn. 7 years of pain taught me one thing. I'm enough. To my girls, Emily and Sophia, you're my proof. While I learned to hold a baby with my left arm and code with my right, James was slowly spinning in his leather chair in a lavish Wall Street office, glued to his phone. He had no idea his decision to invite me to his wedding would trigger his complete downfall. Every notification about me, TED Talk, Forbes, Maya Glow Up, was a fresh stab at his ego. His investment fund was still growing. His suits were still expensive. His bank account was still huge. But there was one thing money couldn't buy that tore at his heart. He still had no kids. After kicking me out, he thought his life would accelerate. He believed a new woman, one who elevated his status, would fix everything. But it hadn't. He dated 3 other women over the past 3 years. None of them got pregnant. One even left him after a year, saying she couldn't handle the pressure from his family to maintain a flawless social media image. His mother, older but just as sharp, always said, "You aren't serious. You chose flash over family." James didn't know the wedding invitation would be the beginning of his end. Will Maya decline, or does she have a bigger plan? What do you think she will do next? When she chose Maya for you, I told you to be patient. You were the one who threw her away. James always got angry. Stop mentioning her to me. But late at night, when everyone went home and the office was silent, his mind wandered. Where is she now? Did she remarry? Is she happy? One morning, while scrolling LinkedIn, a picture stopped him cold. Baby feet. Then another picture, tiny fingers grasping a woman's thumb. He stared, trying to be sure. The hand looked like Maya's, the skin, the way she held the child. No way, it's just a coincidence, he told himself. But the comments confirmed it. Congrats, Maya Thompson. From SF to NY, you're killing it with AI Optima and now twins. His heart stopped dead. He had to block it out with something stronger. Another woman. That week, his friend Alex called. Dude, James, you see Maya's post? Twins, 9-figure company, and a new AI founder husband. What are you doing? Look, there's someone you need to meet, Alex said over the phone. Her name is Victoria. She just moved from LA. Beauty influencer, wealthy family, gorgeous, pure class. And guess what? She wants a serious man, not those TikTok boys. James laughed. You're selling her like stock. I'm serious, Alex said. She's different. You'll like her. James sighed. Fine, set it up. They met at a luxury restaurant 2 nights later. Victoria was exactly as described. She even scrolled Instagram at the table, showing off her 500K followers. The light from her phone lit up her perfect face. But what hooked James wasn't her look. It was her confidence. So you're the famous James, she said with a small smile, swirling her wine glass. And you're the Victoria everyone talks about, he replied. They talked business, investment, and life for 2 hours. Victoria told him about deals with cosmetic brands, how she turned TikTok into a cash machine. But the topic James aggressively forced was status. I need a woman to help me shine, he said. I just haven't found the right one. Victoria raised an eyebrow. You were married before, right? Yeah, James said quickly. But she wasn't up to par. Didn't help me stand out in the elite circles. We tried for years. Victoria just nodded. Then she smiled again. I'm not in a rush, but I want a glamorous family, a perfect brand. She lightly touched his hand, her eyes sharp. But I need to be sure. Have you had a physical? I don't want to repeat your ex-wife's mistake. James frowned, but nodded. Of course, I'm perfectly healthy. Behind that seductive exterior, Victoria was hiding a perfect scheme. The truth, she was pregnant by a lover in Los Angeles before meeting James and knew the baby wasn't his. Without hesitation, Victoria pursued James for 2 things, money and status. She had even secretly tampered with tech contracts in James's investment fund, quietly diverting millions of dollars in arbitrage to his rivals. Her plan was meticulous. A lavish wedding at the Plaza Hotel, live-streamed on TikTok to showcase her elite queen brand, followed by a total disappearance. James, arrogant and blind, was utterly clueless. He only saw Victoria as his ticket to escape Maya's shadow and prove he had upgraded. Yet, when he received the wedding invitation, Maya simply smiled. He thinks he won, she whispered to Lisa, her voice full of confidence. But I'm going to show him who the real winner is. So, how many kids do you want to have later? Victoria asked James at a luxury restaurant, the sound of their wine glasses clinking punctuating the calculated question. Maybe 2 or 3, James replied, his heart leaping at the question that hinted at the family future he craved. Me too, Victoria smiled, scrolling Instagram, the screen light reflecting off her manicured nails. Within a month, they were the it couple. From networking events in Manhattan to investment conferences in San Francisco and late-night Brooklyn rooftop parties, the online community started buzzing. James and Victoria began to trend softly. James constantly showered Victoria with gifts, including a pearl-white Tesla Model S. Victoria flaunted the new car on Instagram stories. New ride, new life. One day, Victoria said, "Stop wasting time. If you're serious, let's do this." "Do what?" James asked. "Get married," she replied, sipping orange juice as if it were a minor detail, the scent of Chanel lingering. James stared. "You're ready?" "I'm an adult woman," she said. "I know what I want. I don't believe in 10-year dating. If you want me, prove it." How will James react when his world collapses? Will Maya decline the invitation, or does she have a bigger plan? The story of Maya is reaching its peak, and the whole world is about to witness who the real AI queen is. That night, James called the event organizer, the sound of his laptop keys echoing in the office. He opened his work messaging app and sent the request. Plaza Hotel, full luxury, live stream setup for Instagram and TikTok. Unlimited budget. Wedding preparations began immediately. Everything had to be perfect. This wedding would be the biggest in New York. A red carpet, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, a live band from LA, and guests flying in from Silicon Valley and Dubai. James was obsessed with making the wedding grand, not just for love, but to prove to his friends, his mother, and the whole world via Instagram livestream. He wanted the hashtag #JamesWins trending, wanted all of Wall Street to know he had surpassed Maya. He wanted everyone to see his life was better without Maya, the one he deemed inadequate to elevate his status. And deep down, a voice whispered. He wanted Maya to see it too. One afternoon, while reviewing the guest list with the event organizer, James paused, the sound of a pen gliding across paper. "Add one more name," he said. "Who?" the organizer asked, looking over his glasses. James took the pen and wrote, "Maya Thompson." The organizer raised an eyebrow. "Your ex-wife?" James offered no explanation. He just gave a cold laugh, his eyes glittering like the office's LED lights. "Send her an invitation, the fanciest one. I want her seated front row." The organizer nodded, typed Maya's name into the iPad, adding a note. "Gold-embossed invite, front row, per client request." While James was preoccupied with the illusion of a new life, Victoria was quietly executing her own plans. She ordered a wedding dress from a famous Parisian designer. The lace alone was worth more than a car. Her bridesmaids practiced their dances over video calls, and Victoria didn't hesitate to live-stream her dress fitting on Instagram stories. She even posted a clip of the dress on TikTok with a self-satisfied caption, "This is what a real bride looks like." Victoria vibes. The bachelorette party was lavishly held at a seaside resort in the Hamptons. In the eyes of the world, she was a radiant and happy bride. But behind closed doors, Victoria lived in anxiety. The secret about the baby not being James's and the shady deals with his rivals were a ticking time bomb. A week before the wedding, she was almost exposed when James accidentally saw a message from her lover. With quick thinking, Victoria pretended it was a text from her stylist. James, in his arrogance, easily accepted the explanation. But Victoria knew a secret this big would eventually cause everything to shatter. Her every day was a cycle of lies. Every morning, she checked her cycle tracking app to conceal the baby's real age. Every evening, she secretly checked emails from James's rival, whom she was covertly collaborating with to modify tech contracts, making millions of dollars from the difference. She never told James. She was terrified. And in her head, her mother's doubtful voice echoed through phone calls. "Are you sure this guy isn't the problem?" To keep everything quiet, she secretly booked an appointment with a doctor in Beverly Hills via a private app and continued communicating with James's rival through LinkedIn messages. 2 weeks before the wedding, Victoria decided to try a risky move. As they lay in bed, phone light casting shadows on their faces, she gently asked, "James, have you ever thought about going to the doctor?" James turned to look at her, the ceiling fan whirring in the quiet space. "What for?" he asked, his voice full of suspicion. "For a health check," she said carefully, her fingers lightly twisting the bedsheet. "Just to make sure everything is okay before the wedding." He frowned, the leather chair squeaking as he sat up. "What are you implying? That I have a problem?" No, she quickly replied. "I just suggested maybe we both get checked." James's face hardened, his eyes cutting through the air. "You sound like Maya," he snapped. "Blaming me, making me feel inadequate." Victoria sat up, her curly hair cascading over her shoulders. "I didn't say that." James grabbed his shirt, the fabric rustling. "Don't bring this up again. Ever." Victoria was silent, but inside, a new fear was growing, like a shadow spreading across the penthouse. She opened her phone, checking an email from the doctor. Health check complete, no issues. She messaged James's fund rival, deal done. Funds wired after wedding. James continued the wedding plan as if nothing happened, telling his friends via video call, "This wedding is going to rock New York. I want my ex-wife to see what real success looks like." His friend Alex laughed loudly through the laptop speaker. "So you're inviting her to humiliate her?" James smiled smugly, the light from the chandelier reflecting off his Rolex. "She needs to see what she lost." But Alex looked unsure, his voice hesitant through the headphones. "Are you sure that's smart? What if?" "There is no what if." James cut in, his voice as sharp as a keyboard click. "She'll sit in that hall and watch my new bride walk down in diamonds. She'll choke on her regret." On the wedding rehearsal day, James stood alone in the Plaza Hotel ballroom, the sound of his leather shoes echoing on the marble floor. He looked around at the decor, white roses, crystal chandeliers, gilded chairs. But his heart wouldn't settle. He pulled out his phone, staring at Maya's name on the guest list. He thought about how she used to fix his tie, how she debugged his system when the fund had technical glitches, and how she cried the night he threw her out. He quickly shook his head, whispering to himself, "No, she was the problem. She wasn't good enough to elevate my status." But his finger scrolled to a new post from Maya. "AI Optima hits $100 million valuation. Thank you, team, and my girls Emily and Sophia, for reminding me what matters." He slammed the app shut, his heart hammering like a notification alert. He stepped outside, lighting a cigar, the smoke mixing with the New York air. A TikTok notification popped up. Maya Glow Up trending, a clip of Maya at a TED Talk with the caption, "From Pain to Power." He dismissed it, but the image of her smiling next to her two daughters wouldn't leave his head. Far away, Maya was playing with one of her daughters when her phone beeped with a LinkedIn alert. Lisa picked it up and froze. "Maya, what is this? A wedding invitation?" Lisa turned the phone. "From who?" "James." Maya looked at the screen, her heart pounding like a drum. She picked up the phone, read the invitation, and slowly placed it on the wooden table, the soft sound like a drop of water. Lisa was furious. What the hell? Is he crazy? But Maya just stood still, holding her daughter close, the scent of baby formula around her. Then she smiled, calm and steady. "It's fine," she said softly. "Let him have his wedding." Lisa frowned, her sneakers scuffing the floor. "You're not going, right?" Maya looked at her two daughters, Emily and Sophia, sleeping peacefully in their bassinets. She stroked Sophia's hair, her eyes lighting up as if she had just successfully debugged a major system. She didn't answer, but the way she walked into the room with quiet confidence said everything. She stood by the loft window, one hand gently rocking Sophia's bassinet, the other holding the invitation. The Brooklyn streetlight shining through the blinds, the thick gold-embossed envelope glittered like it was for royalty. Bold, arrogant lettering. James and Victoria, an elite union. She had read the card 5 times. Every time it was the same. The date, the location, the dress code, and her name clearly printed on the guest list, Maya Thompson, front row. She lowered her gaze, taking a deep breath. She didn't cry. She didn't shake. But inside, something was stirring slowly, like fire warming cold stone. Lisa walked in holding a cup of cold coffee. "I still don't get why he sent this. Is he insane or just evil?" Maya said nothing. Lisa put the cup down, the ceramic clinking against the table. "Is he trying to humiliate you after everything he did?" Still no answer. Lisa was exasperated. "Maya, say something. Why are you so calm? You should tear this thing into 1,000 pieces and throw it in the trash." She stepped forward to snatch the envelope, but Maya held it firm, her gaze as sharp as a tech conference presentation. Maya finally spoke, her voice steady like a program running smoothly. "He wants me to feel small." Lisa crossed her arms, her eyes flashing. "Then we ignore him. We don't give him the satisfaction." Maya turned slowly, the light casting her shadow on the wall. "He wants me to show up and cry in the corner while his new bride walks in with glittering diamonds and a triumphant smile. And we won't go." Lisa repeated, sharp. Maya looked at her daughters. "But what if we show him the truth?" Lisa raised an eyebrow, the sofa squeaking as she sat down. "What truth?" Maya's voice was firm. "That I was never a failure, that the woman he thought was broken is now whole." She put the envelope down, opened her laptop, and checked an investor email. Major funding round confirmed, $50 funding closed. Congrats, Maya. She smiled, her fingers tapping the keyboard. Lisa was silent for a long moment, her eyes darting like the neon lights outside. Then she burst out laughing. Oh my God, that jerk will faint. Maya, are you serious? Maya laughed for the first time that day, a radiant smile like a successful program launch. Dead serious. The plan started that night. Maya opened her closet, choosing a long, diamond-encrusted dress from Oscar de la Renta, commissioned last month but never worn, the fabric shimmering like starlight. Lisa pulled out the makeup box. I don't want to be flashy, Maya instructed. I want to look peaceful, but powerful. Say no more, Lisa grinned. You are going to be the embodiment of the American dream. They ordered matching outfits for the twins, tiny white dresses with pink bows, and installed an AI application on a tablet for them. Lisa messaged a friend and rented a black Rolls-Royce Phantom. She sent a text. Need a driver, 8 a.m. sharp, Plaza Hotel drop-off. Make it iconic. The car would arrive the morning of the wedding, waiting on the corner until Maya signaled. They practiced having Emily and Sophia hold their mother's hand, walking side by side. The girls were a little mischievous, but always followed their mother. Daniel walked in, hugging Sophia. My girls are going to steal the show. Maya smiled, feeling a genuine lightness for the first time since receiving James's invitation. I'm not going to start a war, Maya reminded Lisa while folding clothes. I know, Lisa said, but trust me, your presence alone is enough to disrupt that wedding. The night before, Maya couldn't sleep. She sat by the window, her eyes fixed on the city lights twinkling like stars below. Daniel walked over gently, his warm hand resting on her shoulder, easing the cold of the thin fabric. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, he whispered, his voice warm like a gentle acoustic tune. I want to, Maya replied, her voice steady. Not to prove anything to him, but to remind myself that I survived, and I'm still standing here. She turned back to Daniel, and in her eyes was a radiant light, familiar from her AI Optima presentations to investors. She kissed him softly on the lips. You are the reason I believe in the American dream again. Daniel returned the kiss on her cheek, the warm, woody scent of his cologne surrounding her. Quietly, Maya opened LinkedIn and posted a subtle update, a declaration to herself. Tomorrow I show the world who I am. Maya, glow up. Whatever you decide, Daniel said, his hand still on her shoulder, the warmth spreading. I will always stand by you. Maya turned back to him, the Brooklyn streetlights through the blinds reflecting a determined peace in her eyes. Thank you. You gave me something no man ever did. Peace. Daniel smiled, his soft laugh like the rustling of leaves outside. And you gave me joy. She hugged him tight, whispering into his shoulder a sentence that held all the strength she had gained. You are the reason I have the courage to face the past. And then the day arrived. Wedding morning arrived and New York was electric. Social media was flooded with images. The hashtag James and Victoria was trending across Instagram and TikTok. Everyone agreed this was the event of the year. The venue was the Plaza Hotel's grand ballroom, overlooking Fifth Avenue. A red carpet led to the entrance, cameras flashing incessantly. CEOs and Wall Street investors sat in the front rows, the clinking of wine glasses mixing with laughter. In the dressing room, Victoria stood silently before the large mirror. Her magnificent white gown glittered like snow under the chandelier, but couldn't dispel the darkness inside her heart. Sophia, her friend, gently adjusted her veil, the scent of jasmine from her perfume wafting past. You look stunning. James will be captivated. Victoria forced a tight smile, her anxious gaze sweeping over the expensive dress. I hope so. But deep down, fear was suffocating her. The secret about the baby not being James's and the elaborate fraud plan were a bomb about to explode. She secretly checked her phone. The message from the doctor read, Health check confirms, not his. Proceed with plan? Her finger trembled as she typed, Yes. Funds secured after ceremony. Not far away, James stood on the altar. He glanced around the opulent hall, the sweet violin music of the live band creating a perfect backdrop. His tailored white suit and golden boutonniere made him stand out, his leather shoes gleaming. But his agitation was clear as he constantly checked his smartwatch, the screen's blue light flickering. Alex approached him. Why do you look so restless? I'm waiting for someone, James replied, his voice thick with smugness. Waiting for who? Alex asked. James didn't answer, but his eyes flashed as the hall doors opened. A sleek, black Rolls-Royce Phantom pulled up. The back door slowly opened. And then, Maya stepped out. She wore the diamond-encrusted Oscar de la Renta gown, the reflected light making her the center of attention, dazzling like a queen. Her steps were steady, her face unusually serene. As Maya walked in, James smirked, leaning in to whisper contemptuously to Victoria. See? She couldn't miss the chance to witness our happiness. Look, she even borrowed a dress to wear. He had no idea the glittering gown was custom-made, sponsored by a luxury fashion brand whose retail system Maya's AI company was managing. But the real shock was yet to come. On either side of Maya, two twin daughters, Emily and Sophia, in tiny white dresses, held their mother's hands. One of the girls held a small tablet running the AI application Maya had developed. The entire ballroom fell into a stunned, eternal silence. Hundreds of eyes widened, phones were raised, the rapid click-click of cameras echoing everywhere. Who is that? Wait, is that James's ex-wife? My God, she had twins. Instantly, the news went viral. The hashtag #MayaGlowUp started trending and climbing. James couldn't breathe, his chest heavy with dread. Tell me I'm dreaming, he whispered, gripping Alex's arm. Alex blinked, his voice a panicked stutter. Bro, she has kids. James stumbled down from the altar, walking like a ghost, his leather shoes echoing on the marble floor. Maya walked slowly, gracefully, holding her daughter's hands. Her eyes met his, unwavering. She offered a small, simple, sunlit smile. Major business partners rushed forward to greet Maya, their whispers ringing out. AI Optima helped our fund increase revenue by 50% last quarter. You're a legend. The crowd parted as she reached the front row seat, the one James had deliberately reserved for her. She sat down quietly, the fabric of her dress rustling. Emily and Sophia climbed onto her lap and whispered, Mommy, we did it? She nodded, kissing their heads, the scent of baby powder surrounding her. Victoria entered the hall immediately after, her veil down. She sensed the silence. She saw the faces. She saw James standing rigid in front of her, his eyes glazed over. She reached the altar and whispered, her voice sharp through the lace, What is going on? James couldn't speak, his lips pressed into a tight line. The officiant cleared his throat, the sound echoing through the microphone. Shall we begin? But James wasn't listening. His eyes were glued to Maya, to the two children, to the truth. In the front row, Lisa whispered, the sound of the chair squeaking softly. Do you want to leave now? Maya shook her head. No, we stay until the end. Her voice was calm. Her heart was at peace. She hadn't come to ruin anything. She had come to see, to witness. Without a single word, the wedding hall's atmosphere shifted from noisy anticipation to silence within minutes. The music, the camera flashes, the laughter, it all stopped. Guests didn't know whether to sit still or turn around. Some held their phones suspended midair, mouths agape. Others just stared at the woman who had entered like a change in the weather. Maya sat in the front row, exactly where James had intended her to sit, but not as he had imagined. She wasn't crying from shame. She wasn't bitter or defeated. She sat with quiet pride, her diamond gown glistening like the New York dawn. On either side of her were her two daughters, with curious smiles and curls that matched their mother's. One held a tablet, the other whispered and giggled with her sister. The crowd was still processing the shock, whispers spreading through the seats. That's Maya? A woman in a green dress murmured over her handheld fan. She has children, the man next to her questioned. They look just like her. And like James, someone interjected. Let's see how this ends. At the front, the officiant cleared his throat again, the sound amplified. Shall we proceed with the ceremony? James stood next to Victoria, but his mind was adrift. Victoria leaned toward him, her voice low but knife-sharp. Who is the woman with the two children? James blinked, sweat beading on his forehead under the stage lights. That's Maya. Victoria's eyebrows knitted, her veil shaking slightly. Your ex-wife? He nodded slowly, his heart pounding. The children with her? James didn't answer, his lips sealed. Victoria turned fully to face him, her voice tense. James, are those her children? The crowd was now completely focused on the couple at the altar. Photographers were confused, unsure where to point their lenses. James fidgeted, his mouth opening, but no words came out. Victoria's eyes widened, the chandelier light reflecting in her pupils. You told me she wasn't good enough to be your wife. I thought so, James stammered, his voice choked. You thought? Victoria spat, her dress rustling as she took a step. You claimed that was the reason you left her. I believed you. I believed it too, he whispered, his eyes avoiding hers. That's what I... What? She cut him off, her voice razor sharp. You never got yourself checked. You refused to take the test. James rubbed his head, the sweat glistening under the light. Victoria, please, can we talk about this later? No, she stated firmly, her voice ringing through the quiet hall. We're talking about it now, because the entire room is watching. She turned slightly toward the crowd, her veil fluttering. Is this your joke, James? You invite your ex-wife to humiliate her, and now she walks in with 2 children. The guests? Murmurs grew louder, the sound of chairs rustling. James looked around nervously, his shoes scuffing the floor. Keep your voice down. But Victoria backed away, her face a mask of confusion and hurt. You lied to me, she said louder, her voice trembling. You lied to me just like you lied to her. Alex rushed forward, his sneakers squeaking urgently. Victoria, calm down, let's talk outside. No, she said. I want answers right here. She looked straight at Maya, her voice carrying through the microphone. Miss Thompson, I apologize for asking this, but are those 2 children yours? Maya stood up slowly, lifting Sophia into her arms, the other child gripping her dress. Yes, she said clearly, her voice resonating as if presenting at a tech conference. They are my daughters. The hall fell into complete silence again, the murmuring instantly stopping. She looked at James, her eyes calm but powerful, like a flawlessly running program. You called me a failure, James. You threw me out, watched me cry on the floor. You told me I wasn't worthy to stand beside you. You made me believe I wasn't fit to be a woman. The guests gasped, the whispers rising like a wave. But I wasn't the problem, Maya continued, her voice as solid as a perfected instrument. You refused to get tested. You always claimed the fault was mine, but the truth has proven otherwise. She looked at her 2 children and smiled. And I was blessed with not just 1, but 2. James couldn't speak, his tongue heavy as lead, sweat pouring down his forehead. His phone vibrated in his pocket, an email notification from Victoria's account. Child not yours, you're not enough, sorry not sorry. He opened it, his face turning ashen, his hands shaking as he scrolled past the signed contract, the clause altered using forged technology, a loss of $10 million to the fund. Victoria turned to him slowly, her veil trembling. So you lied, you ruined her, you defamed her name, and all that time, you were the problem all along. I didn't know, James stammered, his voice weak and lost in the wedding hall. I didn't mean to. You didn't care. Victoria cut him off, her voice sharp as a dagger, slicing through his every excuse. You just needed someone to blame for your own inadequacy. In the deadly silence of the hall, the rustling sound of her wedding dress as she stepped back from the altar was jarring. I can't marry you, James. Her voice was trembling, but every word was clear. Not today, and never. The entire ballroom erupted. The crowd gasped. The officiant quietly stepped back. The band stopped their unfinished wedding march. Camera flashes from the few remaining reporters instantly died out, as if they, too, refused to record this tragedy. James reached out to grab her, only touching air and hearing the faint sound of tearing fabric. Victoria, please, don't do this here, he pleaded in desperation. Victoria looked at him one last time, tears glistening behind the veil, not tears of love, but of profound disappointment and contempt. You were never ready for love, James. You are still a prisoner of your own arrogance. With that, she gently released her wedding bouquet. The white blossoms spun and dropped onto the cold marble floor, the subtle sound a declaration of finality. Without a word of farewell, she turned and strode out of the hall. The hurried clack-clack of her high heels and the bridesmaids rushing after her was the only sound echoing. The waiting car swallowed her figure, and a final text message was sent to James. Funds transferred. Goodbye. And then, just before the car door closed, Victoria paused. She turned her head and looked at James one last time, her voice ringing out clearly, coldly, cutting through the noise. You were right. Infertility is a curse. But that curse is not in my body, or in any woman's body. It is in your heart, a heart so blinded by arrogance that it was never humble enough to see true value. The truth hit James like a punch to the face. He stood frozen, eyes wide, breathing heavily. The opulent room suddenly spun. Right then, like a final knife twist, the event manager approached with a pale face, his voice lost in panic. "Mr. Hartley, we need immediate full payment for the invoice. And the Rolls-Royce Phantom that Ms. Maya Thompson used." He hesitated. "It's actually a limited edition, and the rental contract was signed under AI Optima's name. They just notified us that they will not cover the cost." James gaped. The car he had assumed was a symbol of his status turned out to be proof of the financial power of the ex-wife he had scorned. The humiliation reached its peak. The murmurs from the crowd were now loud and clear. So it was his fault. He wasn't good enough and blamed his ex-wife. That's despicable. In a panic and despair, James rushed to call a cab and sped to a Manhattan clinic. His hands were shaking violently as he held the test result slip, the final line like a death sentence. Not viable, low capacity. And the final blow struck. His investment fund had lost tens of millions of dollars. Everything was clear. Victoria, with her intelligence and ruthlessness, had orchestrated a perfect scheme with his rival, and he was the naive pawn. James looked down at the floor, his knees shaking as if about to collapse. He stammered to Maya amidst the chaotic hall. You changed everything." She responded calmly, "I hope you learned your lesson," and turned away, leaving him to his collapse. Maya turned, walking out of the hall, her 2 daughters holding her hands, the tablet beeping softly as Sophia pressed the screen. She didn't look back. She didn't scream. She wasn't triumphant. She walked out like a queen leaving a courtroom, with dignity and truth wrapped around her like a royal cloak. Lisa met her at the door, her sneakers squeaking on the red carpet. "Maya, you did it. You showed them the truth." Maya shook her head, a soft, serene smile on her lips, peaceful like the breeze passing over the Manhattan skyscrapers. "I didn't come to prove anything," she said. "I simply came to witness." The Rolls-Royce door closed with a gentle, decisive click, sealing off all the chaos behind them. The car silently rolled away, leaving the Plaza Hotel in peace. Inside, Maya held her 2 daughters close. The sweet scent of baby powder mixed with the fragrance of new leather, creating a warm, safe space. "Are you okay, Mommy?" Emily asked in a tiny voice. Maya smiled, kissing the tops of their heads. "I'm more than okay, sweetheart. I am happy." Meanwhile, in the devastated wedding hall, James sat motionless on the edge of the stage. The elegant white suit now seemed baggy, draped over a body drained of strength. The expensive smartwatch on his wrist felt heavy like a shackle, a symbol of his empty wealth. The drinks were still cold, the lavish dishes untouched, but the soul of the party had completely died. Alex approached, his sneakers scuffing softly on the marble floor, breaking the heavy silence. "So, what now?" he whispered. James didn't reply. He just kept staring toward the doors, where Maya had left with dignity, where Victoria had fled with deceit, and where all his own deceptions had finally been exposed. For the first time in his life, James felt true loneliness. It wasn't the loneliness of an empty room, but the loneliness of a heart that was utterly hollow, with nothing left to cling to. James sat alone on the edge of the stage, his once pristine white suit now crumpled as he slumped over. The gold embroidery on his jacket looked dim under the chandelier. The ballroom, once full of cheers, was cold and empty. Waitstaff silently cleared the trays, the gentle clinking of dishes barely audible. He couldn't feel his fingertips. His ears were ringing. His head felt heavy as a stone. What just happened? How did everything collapse in one day? Alex, his best man, sat down beside him, taking off his baseball cap, looking more exhausted than confused. "James," he said carefully, his voice low over the distant sound of the violin. James didn't answer. Alex continued. "You didn't anticipate this, did you?" Still silence. Alex sighed, the chair creaking. "She showed up with 2 kids, bro, twins. The whole world saw it." James slowly turned his head, his eyes red under the LED lights. "I planned this wedding for months." "I know," Alex said. "I invited her to sit there to see me move on." Alex said nothing, only looking down at the floor. "She came without crying, without breaking, and brought 2 kids. James rubbed his eyes hard, the sound of his hand on his face barely audible. "How could that be?" Alex leaned forward, elbows on his knees, his voice low like a whisper through the drafty windows. "That's what the whole world is asking. You said she wasn't good enough to be your wife. You divorced her for that. Now she has children, not just one, but two. James's chest tightened, his breathing heavy as if crushed by the Manhattan air. But she wasn't pregnant when she was with me. Did you ever get tested? Alex asked softly, his eyes sharp like the twinkling streetlights outside. James didn't answer. His lips pressed tight. I'm serious, Alex said. Did you get tested? I don't need to, James snapped, his voice harsh like a car horn on Fifth Avenue. She was the one who needed to be tested. She wasn't good enough to elevate my status. Alex turned sharply, his voice becoming aggressive. Who said so? You? Your mother? Social media rumors? You just assumed. James's voice cracked like a faulty, unfixable program. She didn't argue back. Because she loved you, Alex said, the chair protesting as he leaned in. She was loyal. She trusted you. She didn't want to fight. James swallowed hard, his throat dry as sandpaper. She begged me not to leave. She cried, said we could still try. I called her a failure. I told her to get out. Alex was silent for a moment, his gaze sweeping the empty hall. Then he spoke. Now the truth is staring you in the face, and the whole world is watching. Outside, flashes still flickered, the clicking of cameras like rain. Social media exploded. Videos from the wedding were instantly online. The footage of Maya stepping out of the Rolls-Royce went viral. Clips of Victoria dropping the bouquet and walking off were everywhere on TikTok and Instagram. Hashtags Maya glow up, James exposed, and twins at wedding went viral. A post on social media from Forbes read, Maya Thompson, AI Optima CEO, redefines resilience at ex's wedding, women in tech. Some comments were mocking, some were shocked, others angry. But one thing was clear. James was trending for all the wrong reasons. That evening, in Maya's loft in Brooklyn, Lisa was on the sofa, scrolling through her phone, reading aloud, her giggles mixing with the whirring of the ceiling fan. Listen to this. This woman is a true queen. She didn't scream, she didn't fight, she just showed up with an answer from God. Maya smiled gently, feeding Emily a bottle, the scent of formula in the air. I didn't do it for the applause, I just wanted him to see. Lisa looked up, her eyes sparkling like streetlights. Well, now he sees, not just him, the whole world. Maya lifted Sophia onto her lap, the baby giggling, her hand clutching the beeping tablet. Maya checked her work messaging app, a text from Daniel, AI Optima's head of technology. Board approved $200 million funding round. We're scaling to Asia. You're killing it. Do you think he feels anything? Oh, he feels it, Lisa said, her voice steady as a smoothly running program. Arrogance can't hide humiliation. There was a knock at the door, the sharp sound echoing in the quiet loft. Maya turned. Who is it? Lisa stood up, her slippers padding on the wooden floor. Let me check. She opened the door slowly, her eyes widening, the hinges squeaking. Oh, James? Maya froze, gently placing Sophia into her bassinet. James walked in, no longer the man from the wedding. His shirt was rumpled, his eyes red, his lips dry. He held a baseball cap in his hands, like a student apologizing to a teacher, the scent of his woodsy cologne faint. Maya, he whispered softly, his voice lost like the wind outside. She said nothing, just stood still, the light from a table lamp casting her shadow on the wall. James looked around, seeing the two girls playing on the rug, their robot toys beeping softly. Sophia looked up and smiled. Hello, mister. James's heart twisted, a sharp squeeze in his chest. I didn't come to cause trouble, he said. I just needed to see you to say something. Maya crossed her arms, her face serene, but her deep eyes held a whole sky of painful memories. I destroyed everything, James said, looking down at the wooden floor. I misjudged you, I humiliated you, I let arrogance blind me. Silence. Then Maya spoke, her voice gentle but every word a cut. Do you know what it feels like for a woman to believe her body is flawed, that she is the reason for the failure of her family, James? You took away more than my home and my company. You took away my belief in myself for 7 years. That is something you can never give back. James bowed his head, tears streaming down his face. I know, he choked out. An apology is too little, but it's all I have right now. I believed I was right, James continued, his voice filled with shame and regret. I told the whole world you weren't good enough. Maya looked directly at him, her voice as steady as a flawless tool, and that assumption destroyed our marriage. James nodded, his eyes glistening. I know, I see it now. I was foolish. I let my ego take control. I didn't protect you. I humiliated you. Her voice was measured, like a presentation at a tech conference. You didn't just humiliate me. You crushed me. You made me feel worthless. I'm sorry, James said, the tears falling, his voice choked like a faulty mic. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I had to come. He knelt down, his head bowed, the baseball cap falling to the floor. Even if you don't forgive me, I want to say it. I was wrong. I hurt the only woman who truly loved me. Maya watched him silently, her gaze like looking through a programming screen. You walked into that wedding, he continued, with such peace, such strength. You didn't scream, you didn't lash out, you let the truth speak. He looked at the two girls, his eyes softening. They are beautiful. You are an amazing mother. He lowered his head. I'm sorry. The room was silent for a few seconds, the ceiling fan whirring. Maya stepped forward. Stand up, she said gently. He looked up slowly. Aren't you angry? She shook her head, the lamplight illuminating her hair. I was angry for years, but now I'm free. James slowly stood up, his hands trembling as he picked up the cap. Thank you for listening. You should get tested, she added, her voice soft but firm. Not for me, but for your future. He nodded quickly, eyes downcast. I got tested this morning. Maya raised an eyebrow, her look like a question over a video call. James looked ashamed. The doctor confirmed, I'm the one with the problem. Maya blinked, her heart pounding. So all these years? Yes, he said, it was me. A health issue, maybe from an untreated problem years ago. The silence stretched, like time suspended in a program loop. Then Maya spoke, her voice soft but resolute. I don't hate you. I have moved on. The American dream gave me a second chance. James nodded, his eyes red. I know, and you deserve every good thing. I'm glad you're happy. He turned away, his shoes padding on the floor. James? Maya called. He turned back, his gaze fragile like the streetlights. I forgive you. His shoulders relaxed, as if a great burden had been lifted, his sigh mingling with the street noise. Thank you. As he walked out of the loft, Lisa stood next to Maya, the door closing with a click. You are stronger than I could ever dream, she whispered. Maya gave a small smile. I'm not strong. I'm just healing. The next morning, James woke up to a different storm. His investment fund was in chaos. Several investors withdrew capital. His work messaging app was flooded with notifications. Hundreds of waiting messages. From family, from tech journalists. But the most shocking message was from Victoria. Don't call me. I'm back in LA. Find peace within yourself. Hope you learned something. He opened a video call, joining his first online therapy session, his voice shaking as he told the doctor, I lost everything because of my ego. He sat back, holding his head, the laptop screen light illuminating his face. Everything was gone. But strangely, he felt relieved. Maybe this was what true humbling felt like. Meanwhile, in Maya's Brooklyn loft, peace flowed like the Hudson River. Daniel returned from his business trip, hugging her tight, the scent of warm wood cologne around her. I saw the TikTok clip, he said. You walked in like a queen. Maya laughed, her chuckle like jazz in the loft. It wasn't easy. I'm proud of you, Daniel said. But more so, I'm glad you stood up for yourself. She opened her phone, reading an email from Forbes. Cover story confirmed. Maya Thompson, AI Optima's queen on resilience and redemption. Photoshoot next week. She looked at her two daughters, now sleeping on the rug, their breathing even. They don't even understand what happened, she said. But one day, I'll tell them the whole story. Daniel smiled, taking her hand, the warmth like Central Park sunlight. And I'll be right here with you, he added, his voice low like a pitch to investors. Head of technology here, ready to build AI Optima's empire with you. They stood there, hand in hand. No bitterness, no anger, just peace. A month passed since the non-wedding. The clips were still viral. The hashtag MayaGlowUp was still trending. Most people had moved on. But James had not. He was no longer admired. He didn't stride into boardrooms like a king. He didn't smile in his suit or joke with staff. The office was quieter now. Some employees quit. Some partners pulled out. The remaining people treated him differently. They avoided his eyes. They whispered when he walked by, the messaging app pinging continuously. But worst of all, he had lost himself. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. He replayed everything 1,000 times. Maya walked in. The two children. Victoria walking out. And now the bitter truth. He was the one with the health problem all along. He had destroyed his own life because of his arrogance. James sat at his desk, staring at the test results from the Manhattan clinic. Low capacity. Needs immediate treatment. The words hammered his head. For how many years? How many lies? How many people had he blamed? How many tears had he caused? His phone vibrated. Another article. Former fund manager collapses following ex-wife's dramatic wedding appearance. But where was Maya now? Would she continue to build her billion-dollar tech empire? And James, what would he do to atone? Follow along, because this American story still has more drama. What do you think Maya will do next to turn pain into triumph? Share your story in the comments, because Maya's journey is still inspiring. James sighed, dropping his phone onto the desk, the soft clack echoing in the quiet office. He opened his laptop, signing up for an additional online consultation via the health app, typing, "Need to rebuild from zero." Just then his mother walked in, her low heels clicking softly on the wooden floor. She looked older, frailer, her gray hair falling around her face under the LED lights. She had heard everything through social media posts and friends' messages. "James," she said, sitting in the chair opposite him, her voice deep like rain outside Manhattan. "I came to talk." He nodded slowly, his eyes glued to the desk, the laptop screen flickering. "I know what you're going to say." She sighed, the fabric of her dress rustling as she leaned forward. "You were wrong, and I was wrong too." James looked up, his eyes weary. She continued, her voice breaking like a faulty microphone. "I pushed you to marry someone else. I said Maya wasn't good enough. But not once did I stop to ask if we were being fair." "You helped me kick her out," James whispered, his voice like the wind through an office window. "I know," she said, her eyes welling up, the light reflecting her tears, "and I will never forgive myself for that." Silence descended, broken only by the low hum of the air conditioning. She wiped her eyes, her handkerchief trembling. "Have you spoken to her?" "I went to see her," James replied. "She forgave me. She always had a big heart." His mother whispered, choked with emotion. "Even after everything?" He nodded slowly, his gaze lost as if staring at a blank video call screen. "But she's not coming back. She's happy now. She has a real family." She bowed her head, her sigh mixing with the street traffic. The American dream gave her beauty from the ashes, and we destroyed something pure. James said nothing, just looked down at his empty palm, as if the expensive smartwatch no longer mattered. His crown was gone. Meanwhile in Brooklyn, Maya was in her loft kitchen, preparing Vietnamese pho she had learned from a colleague at her co-working space. The two girls, Emily and Sophia, watched cartoons on a tablet in the living room, their giggles mixing with the SpongeBob theme song. Daniel was fixing the kitchen faucet, the wrench clanking. "Babe," he called, holding the tool, the scent of machine oil faint. "Remind me, do we have enough dried shrimp?" Maya smiled, the kitchen light illuminating her face. "Yes, in the blue container, second shelf." He laughed loudly, his laughter echoing like jazz. "You organize this kitchen like an AI lab." They both chuckled, the clinking of dishes sounding as she set the table. The home wasn't built with gold, but it was filled with joy. As they sat down for dinner, Sophia suddenly spoke, her mouth sticky with faux broth. "Mommy, when we grow up, will we be famous like you?" Maya laughed, the spoon gently tapping the bowl. "Who told you I was famous?" "Everyone on TikTok screams your name," Emily added, licking the broth off her finger. Maya looked at Daniel, smiling, her eyes warm like the loft lights. "You will grow up knowing your story," she said. "But more than that, you will know your worth." She looked at her two girls, her voice gentle. "I built AI Optima so you could be free to dream big, unafraid of anyone defining you." Daniel nodded, holding her hand under the table. "And know how strong your mother is." A few days later, Maya received a letter addressed to the AI Optima office. She opened it slowly, the paper tearing softly. The letter was short, typed and signed at the bottom, "James Hartley. Thank you for your strength. Thank you for your forgiveness. You taught me a lesson I will never forget. I lost an amazing woman, and I hope one day your children will know how proud they should be. I wish you peace." Maya folded the letter, putting it into her desk drawer, the drawer closing with a quiet thunk. She wasn't angry, not sad. She was just peaceful. At James's penthouse, the neighbors now looked at him differently. Some showed pity through their averted gazes in the elevator. Some laughed behind his back through messaging apps. The gardener didn't greet him as warmly, no longer smiling brightly when watering the plants. The security guard didn't rush to open the gate, the iron making a slow, scraping sound. He truly became the humiliated groom. James posted on social media, his tone somber. Taking time to reflect and rebuild. Mistakes don't define us, growth does. The comments were few, mostly sad emojis. One evening, he stood before the bathroom mirror, the LED light illuminating his face. "Who are you now?" he whispered, his breath clouding the glass. "What did your arrogance get you?" No answer came. He looked out the window at the distant, twinkling Manhattan lights and finally spoke aloud. "I destroyed the woman who loved me. Now I'm all alone." But for the first time, he opened a meditation app, listening to a podcast on mindfulness. And then, one morning, James was seen at a community center, wearing a plain t-shirt, quietly handing out food to the homeless. There was no Rolex on his wrist, no arrogant expression. He didn't post photos on social media. That was perhaps the first time in a very long time that James did something not for fame, but simply because it was right. The genuine first step on his journey to finding himself again. But far away, the woman he had crushed was now whole. She found joy. She found love. She found purpose. And she had her 2 little daughters, a reminder that what he called a failure, the American dream, had turned into prosperity. The bitter truth, James himself was the one who was infertile, and the child in his bride's belly was not his. If you believe that justice must be served and all lies deserve punishment, subscribe to the channel now. Join us in spreading the power of resurgence and unyielding resilience for more inspiring stories. In your opinion, which ending does James deserve, forgiveness or merciless punishment?